Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Talk. It is Saturday, June 4th, 2022. I am Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for joining me. We're in the second best month of the year. You don't need to argue with me about that. You realize I'm not biased as well. I'm born in June, but that's not why I think it's the second best month or I think that it's a great month. But June, June just have a different vibe compared to all of the months. June is like when you were in high school, prep school, whichever form of school, June was the start of your summer holiday. Is when all of your exams them done and you get for cool out. And June is, I hope no meteorologists listening because I haven't proved it, but June is like the coolest month of the summer. It's like when you preheat in the oven, right? So it warm, don't get me wrong. It warm, but it not hot like when July reach and August. And August into September is like when the oven cooling down, but it's still a cook whatever in the oven, you get me? Um, by the way, December is the best month, hands down. When I get back to December, I'll explain. But Sports Talk is brought to you by Jamaica Customs Agency, Country Above Self. Remember that you can listen and watch in several different ways. The Love 101 FM app, you can listen to the show live there in the Google Play or Apple Store. You can go to your browser, love101.org. You can listen the old-fashioned way with your radio on Love 101.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, 0.9, wherever you are on the island. And if you are on the island or anywhere around the world, you can watch me live on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you to everyone who joins in week in, week out. Now, we have a very special guest this week. Kerron Stewart, multiple Olympic, World Championship, Commonwealth, Pan American, Carifta, World Juniors, like too much achievements for me to call one of the fastest women in the history of the sport. We'll be talking to her later on after the 1:15 break. So please stay with me. And if you want to leave your best memories of Kerron, if you want to just send her good wishes in general or anything like that, then you can WhatsApp me 876 997 3125. That's 876 997 3125. Or if you want and you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can leave it in the comments there. So I'm looking forward to everything that you have to say. All right. So before I go into my monologue for this week, which is my Danielog, you know that I love to give you some updates regarding sports. So let's go into the sports bits. All right. So the Reggae Boys will play away to Suriname today at 6 p.m. Jamaica time in their opening game of the 2022-2023 CONCACAF Nations League. It's a much different squad to the team that lost to Catalonia 6-0 recently in Spain, with the likes of Leon Bailey, Damian Lowe, and the captain Andre Blake returning to the squad. The boys will then host Mexico on Tuesday at the National Stadium, where they'll be joined by 5 overseas-based players, including Shamar Nicholson, who recently won the Russian Cup with Spartak Moscow. After weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of speculation, Lauren Donaldson was named the Reggae Girls head coach following the resignation of Vin Blaine. Donaldson, who was the assistant coach to the team that qualified in 2019, returns ahead of July's final round of qualifying for next summer's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. So a very short time for Lauren Donaldson to prepare the girls. 5-time Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah will look for consecutive victories in the 100 meters at the Diamond League in Rabat, Morocco on Sunday. Thompson-Herah will be up against the likes of Ivory Coast star Marie-Josée Talu, fellow Jamaican Natasha Morrison, and Bahamian Anthony Strawn. Other Jamaicans down to compete are Stephanie Ann McPherson in the women's 400 meters, Jaheel Hyde in the men's 400 meter hurdles, and reigning world champion Tajay Gale in the men's long jump. Locally, Olympic gold medalist Brianna Williams is expected to compete in the 100 and 200 meters at the Jubilee Series at Jamaica College. Yes, at Jamaica College, not the National Stadium. That can be a rant for another day. The 20-year-old who's looking to make the trip to the World Championships this summer finished ninth at the Eugene Diamond League last week, but has a legal season's best of 11.03 in the 100 and 22.82 in the 200. Several other top athletes are down to compete, and admission is free. So if you want to watch some track and field, you can do that later this afternoon at Jamaica College. Now, the West Indies, they swept the Netherlands 3-0 in their one-day international series earlier today. Batting first, the Windies posted 308 for 5 in their 50 overs, with Kyle Mayers and Shamar Brooks both getting centuries. In reply, the Netherlands fell 20 runs short at 288. The Caribbean men will now travel to Pakistan for another 3-match ODI series. Though it happened a week ago, I still want to announce it. Real Madrid were crowned the champions of Europe after beating Liverpool 1-0 in the final in Paris. It was Madrid's 5th Champions League title in the last 9 years. Incredible. It also meant that Liverpool, who were chasing the quadruple, only finished with 2 domestic trophies, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. God is good. And finally, Poland's Iga Swiatek is the French Open Women's Singles champion after beating American teenager Coco Gauff 6-1, 6-3 earlier this morning. And on Sunday, Rafael Nadal will look for his 14th French Open title when he goes up against Casper Ruud. 14th. That is ridiculous. He basically win one almost every year of his career. That is crazy. Anyways, it is time for my monologue for this week, the Danielog.
Hi, this is David Blake.
This is Hope Blake.
I am Ariel Brown Blake.
I'm here to tell you right now.
It's time for the Danielog.
The Danielog.
The Danielog.
I love it.
Presented by no one.
All right, so remember in April, when the Character Games was right here at the National Stadium, the World Under-20 record was broken by our Under-20 girls. Tina Clayton, Serena Cole, and Brianna Liston broke the record. We spoke about it here. It was spoken about everywhere, basically, because it was such a great moment. However, that record won't be valid, or as World Athletics would put it, ratified, because one of the athletes was not drug tested. The Jamaican Anti-Doping Commission, JADCO, said they didn't test the athlete in question because they had tested them the day before, and they usually don't need to test twice in a 24-hour period. They apologized. They apologized. Over the last few days, calls for the entire board's resignation has been circling, including from former JADCO chairman, from members of the public, the media, even I think I read an article this morning in the Observer where the girls were disappointed, and Corey Bennett, who was the national coach of the Carifta team, he was extremely upset. So people want them to go, right? All right, so let me just say this. Jamaica does not have a history of accountability. And that's in all forms, whether it's in politics, whether it's in business, education, entertainment, and certainly not in sports. And one of the reasons why we struggle to reach that world-class level in sports is because, again, no accountability. So issue after issue, scandal after scandal, whole heap of problem after problem. But guess what? The same leaders will come out and, try them best to either defend the position or say that them going to do some investigation, or them try to make it not happen again, but then it happens again and them apologize them. And it's just a cycle and cycle and cycle. But guess what? These same leaders end up running again for either president, chairman, vice president, whatever it is, and they get reelected, or whoever new comes in years down the line, because nobody really serves short terms here in sports in Jamaica. And then it's just the same things happen again, and it's like, yeah, we'll do better next time. Yeah, we had like 25 problems under our regime, but we think we're the ones to turn it around nonetheless. So, should the entire JADCO board resign? Honestly, it's neither here nor there for me personally, because I'm just more disappointed that those 4 young women ran their hearts out and them have the medal to show for it. But being a world record holder, is something that no one can take away from you. So even if you lost the medal, you can't lose the world record, right? Meaning, if you misplace the medal, if somebody will thief the medal, nobody can thief the world record from you unless they break the world record themselves. But one thing I will say is that JADCO isn't doing any favors for themselves if the board does not resign, or if there aren't any major repercussions, because JADCO doesn't have the respect of a lot of athletes because of some high-profile cases over the years where which some athletes have managed to win, some haven't, and still feel like they should have won. There are some sporting administrations who aren't huge fans of JADCO as well, even though they have to sort of work together because their athletes need to be tested. And the public who have seen these issues happen over the years, haven't really seen JADCO in a positive light. So imagine now you take away, you're mainly responsible for 4 of our most talented young female athletes to not have a world record. Yeah, so people weren't calling for your resignation before, but when you mess with the Clayton twins and Brianna Liston and Serena Cole, yeah. But do I expect them to resign? I certainly would not hold my breath, and don't bet with your friends or anything like that, because you might end up losing. All right, so that is my monologue for this week, the Daniel-log. And we are now going to go into a break. But when we come back, we'll hear from one of the fastest women in the history of track and field, Kerron Stewart. So stay with us.
Pastors, elders, church and ministry leaders who wish to participate in a special book distribution of the 100 Steps Family Bible are being asked to contact the Bible Society of the West Indies today. The 100 Steps Family Bible is a book that contains the 100 steps from which readers can discover about Jesus Christ, how special the Bible is, and how the old age stories still have meaning today. For further information, you may contact the Bible Society of the West Indies at familybible100@gmail.com.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Digicel, the winner's circle for the second year running. This time walking away with the award for Jamaica's fastest mobile network, best mobile coverage, and fastest home fiber internet. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Digicel.
Didn't catch that? It's just the truth. Digicel is the fastest LTE and home fiber internet in Jamaica, giving coverage and speeds you can rely on over and over again. Digicel, better together.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on the Family Station, Love 101. Thank you for staying with us. And for those who are just joining, thank you so much. For everyone in the comment section on YouTube and Facebook, Marvin, Jody, and Marshall, Tifa, Cherry, Auntie P, I see you, and Nicole over on WhatsApp. Thank you so much. I hope to read those messages very soon. But let's get into it. So, Kerron Stewart, one of the fastest women in the history of track and field, our own Jamaican star, multiple Olympic world champs, and several other major titles and medals to her name. She retired in 2018, and now over the last few years she has been involved in coaching, and she recently was given a role as a coach at the Spire Institute over there in the USA. So it's a new job, and we're gonna speak about the coaching, her sprinting career, and her thoughts on our current female sprinters here in Jamaica. But I started out by asking her about her new job at Spire.
About this position and just with this facility and getting the right athletes, what we can really do here at Spire, because we have the right team. We have the right team to really do something great, but it's just getting it out there, especially in Jamaica and in the Caribbean and also internationally, is to let people know about this world-class facility that we have here, and also the expert coaches that we have, and just everybody who is working to make this academy, one of the best in the world.
Yeah, so when you retired in 2018, you said that you had a passion for coaching. Why? After going through all of that through your career, knowing the ups and downs, and even coaches who had to deal with you throughout your time, why coaching?
First, let me say this. There are a lot of days as a coach when I'm like, I need to call my coach and apologize. But, honestly, I always had a passion for coaching. Even while I was running, the passion really came about when I was at St. Jago. And I remember one year, my coach, he had to study. And we were on our own for like 2 months. And I realized that I had a motivation that the other girls didn't have, and I would just come up with my own workouts, and they respected me, and they were like, okay, I'll do your workout as well. And that's where the passion really came about. So I realized in high school that I was so much more passionate about coaching than being an athlete, but I didn't want to waste the talent that God gave me. And I know that this is the route that I had to take if I wanted to become a great coach, because it is easier for me now to communicate with my athletes. And that's because of the background that I had as an athlete and just the experiences that I have gone through. And, just all the little things that I wish other athletes had said to me, hey, Kerron, don't worry about this or do this. And it would have made life such more easier for me as an athlete. But the passion have always been there. And for me, it's not so much about just developing the athlete, but the entire person. Because once you tap into who they are as a person, what motivates them, those things, it plays such a vital role in who they are as an athlete. But I'm very interested in building the entire person, because one thing I realize now, I'm retired and I am left with Kerron, right? And if my coach didn't take the time to develop me as a person, then it would be a different Kerron sitting in front of you right now, and even a different Kerron trying to influence and impact younger athletes now.
Yeah, I spoke with Corey Bennett, a junior coach here for Hydel and our national team, and he said, Brianna Liston, who is one of our rising stars right now, he says that, he has to constantly tell her to, stay off of social media and those type of things. And I assume that a lot of coaches nowadays have those issues because our younger athletes now have far more distractions compared to when you were coming up. Does that make your job a lot harder? And how do you adjust your programs around that? Or how do you tell your athletes, to remain focused?
Oh gosh, and this is what makes coaching life so hard, because we are like parents. So it's 24 hours. It's not just a 9 to 5, or when we see them at practice. It's 24 hours. So it's difficult because some of the athletes you coach are adults, so you can't dictate what they do on social media. But what I try to tell them is just be conscious of what you post, because things that go out there, funny enough, even when you're 30, 40 years old, these are things that people can dig up and say, hey, and these things can affect you. So just be responsible in the things that you post, and just the image that you put out for others to see, because it's gonna come back. It will come back. So just be responsible in what you post.
Yeah, I want to touch a bit on your career, because before that, I would say that breakout year in 2006, when you ran that 11:03, you had a very successful junior career, but you had a few setbacks, especially after that 2004 Athens selection when you were an alternate. You had a shin injury, if memory serves me right. And we know a lot of young athletes will get these type of injuries and aren't able to get to the level required to make it at the top level. How were you able to condition your mind and body to get to that level? Because a shin injury, especially for a sprinter, is sometimes could be career ending.
It can be, but I always say this: nobody's going to make a bigger investment in you than you. And the more you learn when things happen to you, is just try to learn. And that's what I did. So when I used to go to massage therapists or go to physiotherapist, I ask them questions. I try to learn, because one thing I never want to do is keep going back to them. Right? I never want anything to interfere with my practice, so I learn. I realized what they do when I went to physiotherapy. So I'm like, okay, when I go to ice, I started taking that responsibility upon myself to say, okay, ice help, right? With the recovery, it helps to in terms of like the pain that I would feel once I do certain ice. One thing I do is cup. I freeze a cup of ice in the fridge, and I would use it to massage my shin, and that would just help with the inflammation and just reduce the pain that I was feeling. I know a lot of kids now, or they go to medication, but for me, I never do that. I just try to go the natural way and see how best I can speed up the healing process. But I would say the most important thing is to learn your body. So I learned very early what I could work through and what pain that I need to stop, right? And when I need to recover. And I always had coaches who trust me enough to say if something is hurt, they will trust me and say, okay, if she says something is hurting, I believe her, because they know my work ethic, that I wouldn't just say something is hurting just to run or shy away from a hard practice. So I learned my body very quickly. And when I got to college, now the resource was so much more free to me. So I would research, how to recover from a shin splint very quickly. And shin splint is one of the longest injuries. I wouldn't say injury because it didn't stop me from competing, but it was very painful. So when I got to college, my coach, he exhausted every option to help me to get rid of the shin splint. And once I start understanding my body, and I just start playing around with things just to see what would help me to alleviate the shin splint. So I start, okay, I didn't wear certain shoes. I stay away from heels, stilettos. I try to stay away from those things because I realized it was making my calf and my Achilles very tight. And once I keep my Achilles and my calf loose, then I realize it alleviates the pressure that was being placed on my shin. So it's about being intentional, about learning about your body, learning about the sport, learning about recovery, because at the end of the day, it's your career and you have to take that initiative to make sure that you have longevity in the sport.
Yeah, well, you definitely recovered well, because you were a collegiate star at Auburn, but in 2007, the world started to know your name. You went to the World Championships, made the final. You got the relay medal. But in 2008, you were the undoubted star, running some amazing sub-11 times, including that 10.8.0 to win the national trials. But I guess a lot of people will remember you for that 2008 Olympic final. Shelly-Ann Fraser Price with gold, but you and Sharon sharing the silver. When you look back at that moment, even to this point, I know that you've spoken about it a lot, but would you regard that as maybe your, I guess, shining moment throughout your career, knowing that it was never done before and we haven't seen it since?
I mean, definitely. Honestly, my goal going into the Olympics was to win gold. And I remember they couldn't tell who came second or third. So on the screen, all I was seeing was amazing. Was just amazing. That's it. No, the only person that could truly celebrate was Shelly-Ann, because she knows she got the gold. But for me and Sharon, it took a little while to figure out, okay, we know we got a medal, but what color? And at that point, I was like, man, if I had won a goal, right, a lot of people probably would have, forgotten about it. But the 1, 2, 2, it made history. And it is just something that is remembered. So sometimes we think that we fail, but in a situation like that is just icing on the cake, even though that's not the color medal I wanted, but it is just something that will always be stamped into history, and it will always be at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Certainly will be. Definitely something that we've not forgotten. That was a historic moment in our track and field history. We do have more with Kerron to come, where she'll continue talking a little bit more about her career, about Shelley, about our other female sprinters, and so much more. So stay with us. We take a short break, and we'll be back with more of Kerron Stewart.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Let me your phone again there. Mine a move shaky. Brother, it's about time. For what? You switch to Flow for the blue side vibes with big smartphone deals. Like the Alcatel A1 for just $4,645 GCT include, which comes with 14 days of unlimited talk, YouTube, Spotify, and social, plus 4 GB TikTok data. Or ZTE A31 for just $6,500 GCT included. Comes with a 7-day unlimited plan. Link a Flow store now for switch and keep your number. Offer available while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Program of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
God's Way 2, Carlton's Redemption. 5 shows only, June 3 to 5 at the Little Theatre in Kingston.
Let us focus on God's work. That is important.
So your marriage is not important?
To me, but one hand can't clap.
With Delia Harris, Sherry Elise, Stephen Ray Johnson, and Ainsley White.
My marriage is none of your business.
We're not going like your business neither. Tickets $2,000 at the Little Theatre box office or at 876-323-0751. It's inspiring, it's uplifting, it's God's Way too. Don't miss it.
Keep fully connected with Flow Fiber Fast Internet at home and on the road with LTE data and calls for a fast, reliable experience anywhere. Over 500 communities have been upgraded since 2020, making more of Jamaica Flow Fiber Fast. And with Yard and Road, get Flow Fiber Faster Yard and LTE Road for as low as $3,999 plus GCT. Visit discoverflow.co to get connected on Jamaica's largest network. Conditions apply.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on Love 101. Remember, we go until 2 o'clock, and you can leave your comments on YouTube and Facebook in the chat there, or you can WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Omar Rose says, one of my all-time favorite track athletes, talking about Kerron Stewart there. Faith Williams says, I've always loved the humble personality of Kerron, one of my favorite star athletes. May God continue to bless your endeavors. My sister and Cherry Meredith, in something that Kerron had mentioned earlier, saying athletes should not be taken up with social media, be responsible with their time, and be responsible and and conscious of what they post on social media. So we've spoken to Kerron a bit about her coaching career, the early part of her career, and that 2008 moment. We're going to continue to talk about her career and some of our current set of sprinters and so much more. But I then asked her shortly after that 2008 moment about her 2009 season. After you continue your dominance, but you are, even though Shelly is the Olympic champion, you are almost the one to beat, because I think a month before the World Championships, you ran 10.75, becoming one of the fastest women in history. Only, I think, 3 or 4 women had gone faster. And then in the final, you also run 10.75, but Shelly decides that she's going to run a personal best that day and get gold. Do you look back at that with more joy, knowing that you still have one of the fastest times ever, or do you have maybe somewhat of a regret, knowing that that was probably the closest you got to an individual goal? Because I think to this day, you are the fastest silver medalist in World Championships history.
Sometimes it's like a bittersweet, because because I remember after the interview, they asked me and I was like, how do you run 10.7 and get a silver medal? Right? Like, how? But now I don't feel so bad, because when you think about guys who are coming second and third in the 400-meter hurdles, they're running world record time, and all they can manage is a silver medal or a bronze medal. And even now in the 100 meters for women, 400-meter hurdles again for women, can imagine Dalilah Muhammad also break the world record. She got a silver medal. So I am more proud of the direction that the sport is going in and just what is happening. Like, I'm still watching track and field and I'm like, wow. I'm just excited, because now you see where it changes. I believe every 8 to 10 years there is a shift and a change in track and field, where we just see some super stuff, things that we thought were not possible. But every 10 to 8 years we see that shift. I am more so excited and disappointed, and for me, I have no regrets. Honestly, now as a mature individual, I wish I could go back and run some races. Yes. Just because, like, now in my training, there is one rule I have that I do not compromise. My athletes have to run through the line. I don't care if you're at practice or you're at the meet, run through the line, because I could have been in that 10.6, of female sprinters. But when I first run 10.7, I jog at 10 meters before the finishing line. I was jogging through the line. And that's because I didn't know. And that's the thing, you just never know. So if I would say I have any regrets, which I don't, those would be the things that if I could redo, I would do different.
Yeah. That period from 2010 to 2015, you still are very competitive. You make a lot of finals. You are part of or relay teams that set national records and stuff, but you weren't able to get back to that 10.75 range because of some setbacks that you had with injuries, among other things. Was that a frustrating period for you, knowing that you weren't able to reach that level again, or were you just more grateful knowing that you are still able to go to these major games and at least leave with relay medals?
No, I'm gonna be completely honest. For me, my goal is never just to go to say, okay, I am a part of the team. No, that's not my goal. I want to go and I want to be the best. That's why I train. So yes, at times it was so frustrating. And it's not that I didn't have the ability or the talent or I wasn't getting excellent coaching. I just think I allowed the expectations and the pressure that I put on myself. I allowed that to dictate too much, right? So when I have a bad race, I didn't just say, you know what, this is just a bad race, just let it go, right? And I carry that over, and that is where a lot of athletes suffer, and not having also that mental coaching, or just to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, how do I navigate this? And I am so proud of the athletes now who can say, you know what, my mental health is way more important than me showing up at every meet and just living up to people's expectation. I wish I had the courage then, to say, hey, I need some help navigating all these emotions. I need some help navigating not being in the top 2 in the world. I need some help to navigate that. But at no point did I ever feel like I don't have the ability. It was just that I didn't, one, ask for help, and I just allowed the expectations to get the best of me, in terms of like, okay, there is so much. You have your shoe company they want that performance. You're also thinking about yourself, of course. You're thinking about the people who you're letting down, and which you shouldn't be looking at your performance or the sport in that manner. You should always think about you and the performance that you're capable of and want to produce, and just let that other stuff be secondary.
Yeah. You seem to be very content with all your achievements, and as you mentioned before, you don't really have much regrets. I spoke with Kerron a few months ago, and I asked her if she felt that she didn't receive enough credit or recognition with her CV, and she said no, she didn't feel that type of credit. And knowing your very long CV, which if I read, we'd be here all day, presumably. Do you feel that you have gotten the credit or the respect that you deserve from maybe general fans, maybe companies, sponsors, those type of things?
Fans, I wouldn't say. I believe the fans have always been supportive. To this day, I still get message. We miss you on the track. There's just something about you competing. But no, not from the fans. And honestly, the place that I am in now, it would be nice that what you do is appreciated and it's acknowledged. But I do feel like it was. I mean, I only think about it now when people bring it up and say, hey, I don't think you get the respect or the recognition that you should have gotten. And I'm not concerned about that now. I always believe that I run for God. And if I truly run for Him, then people's recognition is secondary. I am more concerned about His applaud.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, I think that our athletes should get more support, because a lot of times everything falls on the athlete's shoulder in terms of spending the money. Track and field is a very expensive sport. And I think we just need to support our athletes more in every way that we can. We should support these athletes, because if we expect them to perform at a certain level, then you should be supporting them. However, they need that support to be successful. Or if you're not going to support them, then I always say you should not have a say or an opinion in what these athletes do. And just gonna voice this now that I am in total disagreement with the J3, even thinking about taxing the athletes when we already get taxed so much. Totally in disagreement with that.
Do you think that's an issue in terms of not having enough former athletes on those types of boards? Because even across our sporting landscape, it seems that people who weren't actively involved in the sport are making a lot of these decisions without discussing it with the athletes. So do you think that we need more of our former athletes or possibly even current athletes be part of some of these decision making?
Yes, if we want to see change, I think we have to pretty much, and I'm just trying to figure the right way to say this without offending anybody, because I know we are so easily offended these days. But I think we also have to take on that responsibility in saying, hey, if I don't like the way the sport and the governing body is handling our athletes, then if I can do something, I should, right? And a lot of athletes don't have the time to do it, but I think a lot of athletes before us make sacrifices so we could have the opportunities that we have. And we now have to start making those sacrifices for the younger athletes who are coming along. Because if we don't start doing that, then we're going to start losing our athletes. By the way, now we're going to say, okay, what happened to this person? What happened to that person? But did we take on the responsibility and saying, you know what? It's not just about the organization, but this is about our young athletes. This is about our young people, our future, right? So even though you might think that, okay, there might be a target on your back and you might not get the support, I think sometimes we have to be open to say, you know what, even though I might be criticized, I might be chastised for doing what's right, I have to do what's right anyway.
So you retired in 2018, and I don't really want to make you feel any way at all, but somebody who you went head to head with for a while, Shelley and Fraser Price, still running, and she's aiming to do 10.5 this year. Knowing that you went head to head, as I mentioned, 13, 14 years ago, how impressed are you by the fact that she's been able to continue this dominance and even elevate her performance, especially after her major toe injury and giving birth?
It's impressive. It's impressive, but I will say this. When God destined you to do something and you follow and you trust his plan for you, she is a living example of that in my opinion. And if I know her as well as I think I do, I know she would agree with what I'm saying. And also, there is nothing like a mom. Your determination, I believe, is just different. When you're a mom, it's different. And she now just set the stage in a different way for our female athletes to say, hey, I can have a child, I can have injuries, and I can come back. And this is what we don't give people. We don't like giving second chances. We dictate people's future too often. Like you can't come back from this, or because you make these mistakes, you can't come back. You can't be all that you're supposed to be. And sometimes we just stifle people's future. But I'm just so proud. Every time I see her compete, every time I watch her, I am like, I'm just proud. I don't know any other way to put it. I am just proud and excited and happy for everything that she is doing. You're talking about she's doing something that is going to inspire young athletes for a long time. And it's not just athletes, but women and young women, for a generation, a lifetime, if you want to go that far. But hats off to her. Utmost respect.
Definitely. So yourself, Shelly-Ann, Sharon, and Veronica Campbell Brown, I would say, part of the golden generation from that like 04 to 2012 period. Now when you look on our current generation of stars, like Elaine, who is doing some extraordinary things, Sherika Jackson, who just started doing the sprints already with one of the fastest times ever, Brianna Williams, Natasha Morrison, and we have our young stars like Brianna Liston, Kemba Nelson, the Clayton twins, and several others. How happy are you to see that we have so many of our young female sprinters being able to compete at such a high level?
I am excited. I've been telling people this for a while. Just give our athletes a chance to develop. Don't rush them, don't pressure them, just allow them to develop. And sometimes it is taken for granted because of how quickly we develop and we put athletes out there. It sometimes is taken for granted. But the future for Jamaica sprinting is very, very bright. I know the men are getting a hard time now, but just allow these young athletes to develop, because in the next 5 to 6 years, it's gonna be serious. Jamaica will, we're still on top, but we are gonna dominate in a way that is going to it's gonna be hard to say exceed what the generation like the Bowl, the Elaine Walker, the Shelly-Ann, and if I must say myself, it's gonna be hard to top what you seen and Shelly-Ann and even for Veronica has done. But the platform and the stage is set for these women to just be phenomenal sprinters.
So as you mentioned, you've had an amazing career and you've achieved almost everything in the sport. What advice would you give to our young athletes competing now, or those in high school or even primary and prep school who want to achieve greatness like you did?
I would say be patient and trust the process. People always say, oh, you just showed up in 2008, but I always tell people this. My Olympic journey began when I was 12 years old, and every decision I made, or every decision that was made for me until I could make my own decisions, led me to the success that now we are talking about, and now I can be proud of. Just be patient, trust the process. It can be a long process for some people, and your process won't be the same as somebody else, but just trust your process. You have to be the last one to give up on yourself. You have to be, but you have to be the first one to believe in yourself. And don't ever give up on your dreams. Just keep working. Find the right people to influence you in the right way. Find good people. I can tell you, I will not be the athlete that I am if I wasn't surrounded by some great people. Find good people to be around. That's my advice. Once you could figure those things out, nothing can stop you.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do know that another passion of yours is football. I won't ask you about Manchester United because that might be a little painful for you. But was there ever a point during your career or even after retirement that you thought, maybe I could try playing football for the Reggae Girls or for a club? I know that you're saying tried and it wasn't that successful. But did you ever seriously consider that?
Yes, I did. When I retired, a few sports reached out. Rugby, Jamaica, the Crocs, they reached out, but I was like, no. If I'm gonna play rugby, I might as well just go back to track and field, competing. Soccer, yes, because soccer was such a passion of mine from such a young age. I said I wanted to, and because I wasn't given the opportunity, all my coaches was not supportive in me playing soccer, so I just gave up that dream. But when I retired, a friend of mine who is a soccer agent in Jamaica, he saw me playing around with a soccer ball, and he was like, "What do you think about playing for a club?" And I was like, "I will give that a try." But honestly, when I really think about everything, and I was like, no, I really want to coach. So an opportunity opened up in Europe for me to play for a club, and I originally said yes, I would play. But when I thought about it, I was like, no, I just want to coach. So they gave me the opportunity to coach, hoping that they could persuade me into playing, but it didn't happen. I told them I would be far more effective as a coach than as an athlete, and I'm so happy that I did do that, because I told them if I was playing, I couldn't truly be a coach because I am so competitive as an athlete. I would put too much into being competitive versus truly helping them to be great athletes. So I shied away from that, but and did what I thought was best.
And another passion of yours, finally, which a lot of people may not know, is photography. I think that you like photography more than track and field. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I actually thought that you would go into maybe having like Kerron Stewart's photo studio or photo company or anything like that. Is that something that you aspire to do in the future, or do you just see photography as like a hobby that gives you peace?
I would say it's more of a hobby, and it's just something that I think I'm just naturally good at. But honestly, I just want to coach. I truly want to coach, like thinking of ideas and ways to help young athletes or just athletes on a whole get better. Those things keep me up at night. Those things wake me up. My love for photography doesn't do that. And I know that I love photography, but I know what my purpose is. And I know that I have to live my purpose, because this is truly a part of what I am here to do, I believe. So that is what I want to do. But of course, photography is my peace. When I want to get some peace, or just, and I have to be inspired too. I can't just go out and just take pictures. I really have to be inspired, because I could take 1,000 pictures and don't like any. So I truly have to be inspired to do it. But track, I don't have to be inspired to do it. It is just in me to just coach.
That was definitely an inspiration. Kerron Stewart, multiple Olympic world champs medalist, one of the fastest women in the history of the sport, taking her time out of her very busy schedule to speak with me It was such a pleasure, and I know that everyone enjoyed it. I see a lot of the comments on WhatsApp and YouTube. Unfortunately, my time is done for the day. But remember, if you want to listen or watch again, you can do so on YouTube, Facebook, and in the app. So thank you to everyone who joined in today. Remember, Sports Talk was brought to you by Jamaica Customs Agency, country above self. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, as they always say. Please enjoy your weekend and stay safe.